The following program is paid for by Lifespan Wealth Management, providing financial advice since 1993. At Lifespan Wealth Management, the main thing they do is provide retirement planning and advice and manage their clients' investment accounts. If you're looking for a financial advisor, contact their office at 478-922-8100 to set up your complimentary consultation. Lifespan Wealth Management has offices in Macon and Warner Robins for your convenience, and you can learn more about them by visiting their website at retirerelax.com. While you're on the site, visit the special report section, which provides great financial education information on many different topics. You can also sign up to receive their digital feeds, which are short videos providing great information relevant to retirement, investing, and matters that affect your money. They also offer seminars to the community at no cost. If you're looking for a guest speaker for your church or civic organization, give them a call to discuss the topics you would like them to cover. Again, their contact number is 478-922-8100. Now, from the Macon studio of News Talk 940 WMAC, it's time for Your Money with Sherry Goss, Randy Goss, Jonathan Eisner, and Corey Albrecht.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's great to be back with you today. I can already imagine fall, or should I say, I can't wait for fall to get here.
No kidding.
Too blasted hot right now.
Thanks for all the comments on last week's show and posts on our social media site. Your feedback is important to us, and we do listen and read all of your comments that we receive. As usual, if you'd like us to research anything for a future show, please email Randy at rfmoney.com. We know WMAC is working hard to improve the reliability of the broadcasts. So if you're having trouble hearing this broadcast, go to WMAC-AM.com. You can stream it from there, or you can try out HD Channel 2 at 93.7 FM.
It has to be an HD thing on your car or your home stereo.
Also remember that we do have all the broadcasts on our website for your convenience. Just go to retirerelax.com and click on Lifespan Resources and choose the date of the show and enjoy. Okay, we have some good material for today, so let's jump into a market update.
All right, so the AI market in the cap-weighted S&P 500, AI stocks now make up 35% of the index and contribute to 58% of its volatility. But here's a tip. For investors looking to reduce AI exposure and remaining invested can consider the S&P 500 equal weight index, where the weight of AI stocks drops to 5% and contributes to just 7% of its volatility. So instead of being in cap weighted, you're in equal weighted, in other words.
Yep.
Through the first week of August, 85.1% of the 201 technology stocks that had reported Q2 earnings results posted stronger than expected earnings per share. Nearly 1 in 3 tech stocks, or about 30%, reporting Q2 numbers also raised forward guidance more than double the 25-year average. And the July CPI report showed a 3.4% year over year, and that is down 0.8% from a recent peak of 4.2% in May. The core CPI was 2.5% year over year, and that was tied for the lowest reading since March of 2021. Here's a little trivia for you. Since World War II, when year-over-year CPI has been between 3% and 3.5%, the S&P 500's average one-year forward return has been a gain of 9.3% versus 9.1% for all one-year periods. A good sign in the midst of a lot of turmoil.
And in the labor market, according to the Kansas City Fed's Labor Market Conditions Indicator Index, labor force activity remains positive and above its historical average, while labor force momentum in the index, which tracks 24 different labor market indicators, was the strongest since April of 2022.
And finally, a report from My Guide to Retirement reports 80% of Americans have provided financial support to a loved one in the past year, and 38% of these people are financially supporting both a child and a parent, basically the sandwich. As a result, 44% of these Americans haven't been able to adequately save for their retirement, and 3 out of 4 feel stressed about their own personal finances.
That last point highlights the importance of starting to save early and consistently. You never know when life will throw you a curveball. So this past week, I was invited to a church, just as a side note for you guys, to talk with a women's Bible study group, and it was really fun. They each brought something to share for lunch at noon, and once we got to know each other, I started talking about tools that can help them. I started with a handout that explains the Life Book, which is free on our website, and talked about wills, powers of attorney, and advance directives, which they can do for free if they email me and give me their full legal name and email address. They can complete these documents and then take them to their bank to be notarized. In fact, they had a notary who's a member of their church, and so they're planning on doing a big group thing to get this done.
And on that note, Sherry, I have noticed online when I'm out researching for the radio show, there's another person out there that has this thing called folders. It's basically the same thing you've got, but it's this book full of a bunch of folders that have the top closes down and has a little string that you wrap around there to keep it from coming open. The problem with that book is that it's not dynamic like your book is. Your book can be put into a 3-ring binder and then updated on a regular basis, and that's the way it needs to be.
And
Instead of
free.
hiding it in these folders.
Yeah.
So anyway, the book has a lot of great values and a lot of great applications for people who are trying to get their affairs in order for their loved ones in case something happens.
So go to our website, retirerelax.com, and just look at the life book, and you can print it out, put it in a binder. And honestly, I've suggested to families who have members who will not get this stuff done, give it to them for Christmas, which is right around the corner, if you can believe that. Anyways, next I opened it up, the seminar, for questions, and they had a lot about how inheriting works depending on what is being inherited, and a good example was land. One of the women owns land that she inherited, and she talked about gifting it to her kids, and I explained the benefit of them inheriting it, the land getting a step up in cost basis to the date of death value, then they could sell it and owe no taxes. Many had not heard of this. It was just great. So if you belong to a group and would like a guest speaker to talk about anything financial, call me at 478-922-8100. For me, it's a lot of fun, and at the same time, people are learning, which I just love.
All right, let's discuss retirement, and more specifically, retirement realities. Predicting exactly what your retirement will be like is about as possible as a meteorologist predicting the weather correctly every single time. In fact, few retirees find their financial futures playing out precisely as they had assumed. But understanding some of the more common assumptions about retirement may help you get closer to your goal than most. One question that you really need to consider is whether you could outlive your retirement savings. Generations ago, people retired and many lived in dire straits, sometimes down to their last dime. And as part of President Roosevelt's New Deal, the President's Committee on Economic Security helps create the Social Security system as we know it today. The system is often considered one of the primary funding sources for retirees. The effects of the Great Depression, which began in 1929, had lingering effects that lasted into the early 1940s. An interesting fact is that Ida Mae Fuller received the first payment from the Social Security system, and that was a whopping $22.54. But in current data, based on the CPI, that would roughly be $538 today.
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Today, Social Security is still around and is a common supplement to people's retirement strategy, as Randy was saying. However, you've probably heard that the pundits and political leaders talking about the solvency of the Social Security Trust Fund. The CBO projects the fund will be exhausted in fiscal year 2034 if benefits are paid as scheduled under the current law. And Penn Wharton's budget model supports this projection, stating there's about an 83% chance of scheduled benefits payable after that, and falling to 69% by 2099. I guess, fortunately, a lot of us here don't have to worry about 2099. Corey, you might have to worry about 2099. It complicates the planning process. It's tough to accurately plan for your retirement when one leg of your retirement funding might be cut. And then there's your health. Health crises can sometimes impoverish retirees. Planning for all the contingencies is tough. That's why working with a financial professional may even help you prepare for this hard-to-anticipate cost.
A quick internet search reveals all sorts of sources instructing new retirees should strive to retire on 70 to 80% of their end salary, but it can be a tough one to achieve. Most new retirees often want to travel, explore new pursuits, learn more hobbies, and finally get around to those things that they put off when they were too busy with work. So in the first few years, some may spend roughly as much as they did before retirement. For many retirees, median household spending increases on the way to a retirement transition, but with a smart financial strategy, the annual median household spending in retirement tends to decline after age 65. On average, households headed by those older than 65 spend 22% less annually than their younger households, a difference of more than $17,000. While healthcare spending increases in retirement, other household costs decline, particularly transportation and housing expenses. Unless they travel a lot, but my clients who do this can afford to and are not spending down their retirement for trips.
An interesting fact is that most people retire closer to age 60 than age 70. Believe it or not, workers expect to retire at age 65 on average, though most end up retiring closer to 62. That means you could find yourself claiming Social Security earlier than you expected, if only to avert drawing down your retirement savings too quickly.
And another issue that I'm seeing is the cost of health care. Most of the people I meet with will wait to retire at 65 so they can go on Medicare because otherwise it's really expensive.
Yeah, and you know that the people are living so much longer now, so retiring at age 62 and having maybe 30 years to sit around
Right.
on a fixed income, that's
It's
terrible.
really
Tough.
it's rough.
In general, American retirees seem to have it pretty good. A recent survey found that 7 in 10 retirees are confident that they will have enough money saved to live comfortably throughout retirement.
One big piece of advice about retirement plans is this: remain flexible. Your retirement may differ slightly or even greatly from the retirement you have imagined. You could receive an unexpected inheritance, but you could face medical or other special circumstances that throw the plan into disarray. Fortunately, it may be possible to create a flexible retirement strategy that addresses a lot of these issues. If you're looking toward retirement, we would love to sit with you and help you get your head around these issues. It's never too late to start.
Yeah, and you can call us at the office at 478-922-8100. And since we're discussing retirement, we want to discuss a few facts about retirement. To start, retirement can have many meanings. For some, it will be time to travel and spend time with family members. For others, it will be time to start a new business or begin a charitable endeavor. Regardless of what your approach, what approach you take, here are 9 things about retirement that might surprise you. The first is that many consider the standard retirement age to be 65, as we were talking about. One of the key influencers in arriving at that age was Germany, which initially set its retirement age at 70 and then lowered it to 65.
An average of 11,400 Americans are expected to turn 65 every day. That's roughly one person every 8 seconds. The next thing is the 65 and older population is one of the fastest growing demographics in the United States. In 2024, there were 61.2 million Americans aged 65 and older, a 3.1% increase in just 1 year alone. While Ida Mae Fuller was the first American to receive reoccurring monthly Social Security benefits, Ernest Ackerman was the first person to receive a Social Security lump sum payment. In March 1937, the Cleveland steel car motorman received a one-time lump sum payment of 17 cents.
Wow.
I wonder what that bought back then.
Probably a lot.
A lot.
Probably at least a lunch.
After working just 1 day under the new Social Security system, the taxes he paid on the $5 he earned that day totaled 5 cents. So he paid a nickel and he got 17 cents out of the system. That's why it's broken.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
I did look this up.
Started with that guy.
17 cents in today's dollars is a little over $580.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Say that again?
No, I think that was the stat we just read a minute ago. When
Yeah.
she got $22, that was equivalent of $500 and something dollars.
Okay, I'll look that up.
But 17 cents was a lot more than it is today. That's for
Yeah.
Right.
sure. Talking about planning for retirement, one of the biggest concerns is the cost of assisted living facilities, which currently is about $6,200 a month. And 7 out of 10 people will require extended care in their lifetime. The sixth item is that 66% of retirees depending on Social Security as a major source of their income. The average monthly Social Security retirement benefit as of January of 2026 is $2,071. The next item surprised me. There are about 672,000 centenarians, which are people who are over 100 years old. In America, this number is expected to be around 2.6 million by 2050.
Is that crazy or what?
It is crazy.
I'm going to be one of those.
Yeah, you are. Lastly, seniors aged 65 and older spend over 4 hours a day on average watching TV.
Yeah, that could be good or bad. My happiest clients watch reruns of shows like I Love Lucy and stay off the news channels. These stats and trends point to one conclusion. The 65 and older age group is expected to become larger and more influential in the future. Have you made arrangements for health care? Are you comfortable with your investment decisions? If you are unsure about your decisions, maybe it's time to develop a solid strategy for your future. If you want to visit with us to discuss these issues, please call and set up a complimentary consultation, 478-922-8100, because we see a lot of people that are going through exactly this. In fact, this week I met with a gentleman who has been in all cash his entire life.
Wow.
And he's finally looking at maybe investing with us because he's being encouraged to make a little bit more than what he's making at the
Than
bank.
what the bank's paying.
Right,
Practically zero.
right.
We had two good situations that came to us this week, so we're going to touch on these. The topics are estate issues for blended families and dog bites. Probably not the one you would have guessed for the second one. Let's start with blended families. If you are in a blended family situation or even have a friend with a blended family, this information is for you. Blended families refer to those with children from previous relationships. These families face unique estate planning challenges that can lead to unintended disinheritance, disputes, and family conflict if not addressed proactively. Preparing your estate can be complicated, and if you're part of a blended family, estate decisions can be even more complex and nuanced. Blended families take on many forms, but typically consist of couples with children from previous relationships. The first item we're going to discuss is stepchildren and inheritance rights. By default, stepchildren do not have automatic inheritance rights to a step-parent's estate unless explicitly named in a will or trust legacy assurance plan. Without specific provisions, assets pass to biological or legally adopted children, which can leave stepchildren unintentionally disinherited. And as you can imagine, this can cause deep resentment and legal battles.
Big time. In Georgia, a stepchild generally does not inherit from a step-parent if the step-parent dies without a valid will and has not legally adopted the stepchild. Georgia's intestacy laws prioritize spouses, biological children, adopted children, parents, siblings, and other blood relatives. Stepchildren are typically not included in that line of inheritance. Simple wills often are structured to leave all assets to the surviving spouse. If your estate strategy relies on this type of will, you could risk overlooking children from previous marriages. Also, while it's unsettling to consider, the surviving spouse can end up changing a will without proper measures put in place and cut the stepchildren out. After a second marriage, blended families must revise wills, trusts, and beneficiary designations to reflect new spouses and children. A standard will often fails to protect stepchildren and can leave them with nothing. Using irrevocable trusts can protect children's inheritances from previous relationships while still providing for the surviving spouse, and a good idea is to choose a neutral trustee or fiduciary that helps prevent conflicts among family members.
Another point here is that many times couples who remarry create prenups and post-nuptial agreements. Care needs to be taken here. These agreements need to be reviewed alongside estate plans to ensure alignment. Failing to do this could result in overriding state inheritance laws. The bottom line is that blended families can become complicated. Couples in this situation should work with estate planning professionals to create customized wills and trusts that explicitly address stepchildren, coordinate with prenuptial, postnuptial agreements, and use neutral fiduciaries to ensure fair, conflict-free distribution of assets. Yes, these documents cost money to have done. However, this proactive approach protects both the surviving spouse and all the children, whether biological or step.
Before we go on, let's do a plug here for Vanilla. We here at Lifespan know the importance of having these estate documents ready in case the inevitable is going to happen. And if you need a will, an advance directive, or other basic
Power of attorney.
Call us. We have a program. It's called Vanilla, and we can just get your email and your name, and I think that's about it,
That's
right,
it.
Corey?
Yeah, first and last name and an email.
Okay, and then we'll send you a link to the Vanilla website, and that gets you in. And those documents are absolutely free. If you need something more complex, they do have attorneys on staff that can help you get the trust or whatever else done you needed to do. And we don't make any money off of this. We just
And we don't track you down
And we don't
either.
track you down either. So yeah. So if you need these documents, we're providing you a great link and a great resource at no cost. Just give us a call at the office at 478-922-8100, and we will get you hooked up.
Hey, and here's an idea. For Christmas, you could have all of your beneficiaries that you usually buy gifts for, just give them our information so they could do theirs for free and tell them, here's your $600 plus Christmas gift.
Yeah.
Free legal documents
go.
through Lifespan.
That's great.
Anywho,
Perfect. The next topic is dog bites. Did you know that globally there are about 1 billion dog bite injuries per year? 1 billion?
Yep.
I'm not surprised.
That's 1/8 of the people on Earth.
Walk around downtown in Macon and look at all those dogs that people have on these short leashes.
That's insane.
I stay away from them. I don't try to pet them.
And it's amazing to me that there is a entity out there that tracks these things.
Right.
India
All right.
makes up a huge portion of it, though.
India?
Yeah,
Okay.
it does.
Disproportionate amount of bites
Yes.
in India.
I mean,
Wow.
they're trying to get them for food, I think.
Yeah,
So,
right. In the U.S., there are roughly 4.5 million. Okay, so definitely not disproportionate toward the U.S. because there's 4.5 million bites in the U.S.
Right.
Georgia had roughly 150,000 reported bites. I did learn that insurance reports show dog bite injury claims continue to rise, and there were 2 fatal attacks in Georgia just last year. The reason we're talking about this is because it affects the cost of insurance and your money. As a homeowner or renter, if you have a dog, you need to understand your responsibilities and how to protect yourself in case your dog bites somebody. The liability rests on the owner, and you should be aware that if your dog bites someone, they can seek financial compensation. In fact, dog bite claims in 2025 totaled aggregate damages of over $1.86 billion, according to the Insurance Information Institute.
For most homeowners and renters, a standard policy generally covers any legal liability that may result from your dog biting or harming another individual. Typically, this coverage is designed to extend to places outside the home.
Yeah, and I know any size dog can bite you. And we had a Chihuahua when I was growing up named Pancho, and that little dog bit everyone.
Sounds like fun.
Oh yeah. Back then things were not as litigious as they are now, but I know people did not come into the yard because they feared that little dog.
So if you have a dog that might bite someone, it is in your best interest to contact your insurance agent to inquire if you are covered. Dog bite insurance is not a separate insurance policy. Generally speaking, the dog bite liability is commonly covered by homeowners and renters insurance, but if you're unsure, then review your policy and call your agent. But understand that insurance for dog bites is not unlimited. There is a cap to liability coverage, so check your policy for the limits. Your coverage could permit just one bite claim, which I'd hope after that you do something about that. But here's the thing. Many insurers may either cancel the policy or add a canine exclusion after paying such a claim, which means that you'll be responsible for all damages in the event of a second bite.
Some policies exclude certain dog breeds from the onset, so to be sure to review your coverage, and that will ensure that your dog is not among those excluded breeds. Insurers most frequently exclude pit bulls, Rottweilers, Doberman Pinschers, German Shepherds, Chow Chows, Akitas, Huskies, Alaskan Malamutes, Presse Canarios,
Never
which
heard of
are,
that.
I had to look it up. I guess they're kind of a offshoot from Mastiffs.
And it's a beautiful dog.
Yeah. Wolf hybrids.
Chomp, chomp.
Yeah,
Wolf hybrids and Great Danes from liability coverage. Be aware of a business.
pretty much all
exclusion.
dogs are excluded.
Chihuahua's not on there.
That's true. And poodles.
But it bit you.
That's about it.
did.
All the big ones. Be aware of a business exclusion that may not pay claims for dog bites that occur while you are conducting business in your place of residence. Finally, it is important to let your insurer know if your dog bites someone or is declared dangerous under local law. Failure to inform them may affect liability coverage for subsequent injuries
my
caused
gosh.
by your dog.
And it's not just dogs. So Randy, when we were moving down here, he was temporarily living with his sister until he could find a place for us to live. And his sister had a roommate, and the roommate had a cat. And one day you come home from work and your pet, you pick.
Well, me and the cat were getting along splendidly
Yes,
for the
it
last
was a
couple
lot
of weeks.
It was all because you love pets
Yep.
and you always want to pet the pets.
And that cat bit me on my hand, and it was a terrible bite. The
But
next
it was,
morning,
it didn't just bite you; it locked
it
into
locked
you.
onto me and was shaking his head like I was a piece of steak. And my next morning, my fingers were the size of sausages, and it took a couple of weeks to get
It was
this under
scary.
control. It's called Pasteurella. I think that's what's in
Yes.
the cat's bite.
And we went to the doctor, and I went with Randy.
And they freaked out.
They freaked out when they saw his arm and how red and swollen it was. And the doctor took a felt pen and he drew a line around his bicep and said, if the redness goes above this, you better get back in here because you could have to have your arm amputated.
Yeah.
It was
So-
that bad from a cat bite.
Yep. So
I just want to say that dogs don't do that kind of stuff. Your own dogs, at least.
you're right.
Your
gosh.
Chihuahua might have done it to somebody else, but
Yeah.
I think in Florida, I had a friend, or my mom's friend, who was every morning he'd run around his development, and one morning was running past a house as they were opening a door. Dog bolted out,
Oh, no.
locked onto his leg, and put him in the
Oh
hospital.
my
and
gosh.
It's,
Yeah.
I mean, It just was a split second. The dog saw someone running by as the door was open and just took off.
That dog was probably watching that guy run by every morning and go, I'm going to get him one
took
day.
his
I
chance.
wonder if they filed a lawsuit against him for the bite.
I want to say that they did. And it was
I would
like
bet you they
covering,
did.
but it was just for the medical
To cover the
expenses.
medical. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
That's still. Oh, well.
All right, let's talk about your money in the digital world and how you interact with that strange new world. Now, if you're a Star Trek fan, you'll understand that reference. While the digital environment has simplified our lives in so many ways, it does have unintended consequences, and that is the digital environment has made it so much easier to spend money. Today, we want to discuss this and discuss ways to put the brakes on this bad habit. And I do call it a bad habit simply because of the bind it puts a lot of people in. Today, we simply click a button and spend the money without really thinking about what we're doing.
There's a substantial body of literature that indicates that cashless payments may encourage higher expenditures by reducing the psychological cost of buying. These studies show that mobile payments used is associated with greater willingness to pay and stronger purchase intention than cash, particularly when the payment is perceived as effortless. Similar findings show that the digital payment users are more prone to impulse purchases and higher spending frequency.
Yep, and this spending activity has spawned a new term. It's called spendception. The literal definition of spendception is a customer behavior and a psychological concept that describes how the ease and speed and near invisibility of digital payments, like, say, tapping the phone or a digital wallet or one-click online checkouts, reduce the emotional pain of paying and lower the psychological resistance to spending money. When I was growing up, and like many of our listeners, we received money either as a gift card or through our work, and that money was accounted for in either a form of cash or in a bank. And to spend, you either had to write a check or provide the cash from your pocket. And I will tell you, I thought long and hard about any of the expenditures that I made. I always knew exactly how much money I had. Today, people just swipe their cards and don't really pay much attention to the balances in their account or what was spent.
Or in actually what it was spent on.
Right.
The problem with swiping a card for every purchase is that this form of payment does not feel like you're handing over hard-earned money the way handing over physical paper money does, and that weakens our mental connection to the cost. There's an emotional detachment of sorts. These purchases are friction-free in nature. The digital transactions remove the immediate emotional pause that normally makes us think twice about a purchase. The transactions are abstract and fast, causing people to make more frequent purchases and often lose track of how much they have spent in total. Traditional economics assumes that a dollar spent is the same regardless of payment mode, but behavioral research tells a different story. Paying with physical cash creates a concrete sense of loss, the classic pain of paying, which can curb spending, whereas digital wallets, cards in the Unified Payment System, or UPI, which actually stands for Unified Payments Interface, they feel more abstract.
That's true, and in practice, this means cash payments feel more real, prompting users to pause while one-click or tap-to-pay prompts often encourage ease of spending. Empirical studies confirm these effects. For example, a 2026 report shows that digital payment adopters make purchases more frequently and impulsively, especially youth and urban users, because the invisible nature of e-payments lowers conscious cost awareness. Similarly, industry analysts note that digital incentives such as cashback, rewards, point systems, and the detachment of screen-based transactions tends to push consumers toward buying more than planned. In other words, the cashless checkout can diminish psychological spending barriers, raising questions about impulse buying and saving in this new context. Okay? So you're guilty like the rest of us. What can you do to insulate yourself from this sort of spending? Basically, we need to put a little friction between us and the purchases.
You've been listening to Your Money, brought to you by Lifespan Wealth Management, proudly serving Middle Georgia for over 30 years. Our mission? Helping folks just like you plan for a secure and stress-free retirement. Need a trusted financial advisor? Call us today at 478-922-8100 and schedule your complimentary consultation at our Macon or Warner Robins office. Want to learn more? Visit us anytime at retirerelax.com. Because when you plan smart, you can retire and relax. And here's something extra. We offer free educational seminars for the community. If your group needs a guest speaker, give us a call and let's make it happen. That's 478-922-8100. Now, let's get back to the show.
When it comes to personal finance hygiene, there are tons of deliberate decisions we need to make. We can research the lowest credit card APRs, contribute regularly to our workplace retirement accounts, and so on. But if you want to make changes to your day-to-day money management, you will need to look at the things at a subconscious level. You need to have some way to tell your brain to either stop doing a certain thing and start doing something better in its place. One thing you do that works for online shoppers is never save your preferred payment method in the platform where you are shopping. This may sound insignificant, but it could possibly slow you down long enough to rethink your purchase.
I can attest to that because
I can too.
if my card is not, if I'm in bed and I'm scrolling and my wallet, which I keep on the other side of the house, if my card isn't saved in that website, I'm like, I'm not getting out of bed to go over there and get that. And then I may never buy it.
Yep.
So I can totally see where that would be deter somebody from actually buying something right then. Another thing you can do is add the items you want to buy to the online shopping cart and then wait 24 hours before you make the purchase. Or you could delete some or all the items from your basket. Another tactic you could use is make it a little mental game. When you want to make an online purchase, you instead put that money into an investment or a high interest savings account. You may not think this works, but it does, provided you were serious when you made the commitment in the first place.
Those are good ideas. And if you are one of the many people who feel like they will never be able to save enough to retire, then setting goals for yourself will help. For a lot of younger adults, this particular point in our financial lives can feel confusing, even overwhelming. The personal finance playbook that our parents and grandparents followed doesn't feel relevant or actionable to a lot of young people. As long as you understand that it is in your power to make the spending and saving plans yours, not your parents'. Here's the thing. When you're young and can master the concept of saving, even a little bit, can have a profound effect 30 years from now, given the magic of compounding.
For sure. Behavioral economists and financial advisors like us understand that sometimes we need to make things easier on our brains, especially when building good money habits can feel intimidating and elusive to so many. Young people are still in the process of building those muscles, and repetition and consistency are key to baking these habits into our busy lives. A lot of times people gradually slip into bad spending habits for one reason or another. It happens. The practical side of finance is the easy part. It's the behavioral part that's harder. There are different things that we can do and should do to untrain ourselves from those bad habits. We should instead be training ourselves with new, better habits, the types of habits that help us get ahead in life.
Right. An example would be what you do for entertainment. A lot of people shop because it's fun, but do they really need what they're buying? What sort of activities can you do to replace this? I have a lot of clients who volunteer and they get a lot of satisfaction from this, and they aren't spenders. Psychologists and economists often use the word friction to describe the little tasks and activities that introduce resistance in the path between a person and their intended goal. In many ways, younger adults have grown up without friction. In fact, many of us are relying on various apps, tools, and services to eliminate it in our day-to-day lives. Think of all the services that we use that make our lives simpler, like the idea of never putting your credit card in the auto pay screen for online purchases, like you said. Having to go get the credit card and type in all the information again, that is friction that you experienced from your bed.
What you're after is that aha moment when you have a breakthrough in your mind that questions the purchase. Another thing that I might recommend is to add a calendar reminder at intervals through the month that prompt you to review your finances and set savings goals. These gentle reminders can make a big difference in your savings and hopefully your ability to see that you can afford to retire someday. It's the simple things that can interrupt the noise of a busy day to remind us of the goals we've set and the things we have to do to achieve them. There are plenty of great resources online that can help you do this too. Sometimes these mind hacks can sound silly, but the silliness of these things is part of their power. Anything you can do that will help you to embrace better financial habits is a good thing. And something that I just wanted to add about putting stuff in your cart to think about it. Mm-hmm. If you have a shared account,
yes.
Sometimes I know that my parents are guilty of this. My dad will put something in the cart to think about it, and mom will order something else,
and it's still in the cart.
It's still in the cart,
all
and
gets
it'll
purchased.
Still get purchased.
Yep.
So just something to think about. It is a
Right.
good habit, but make sure that
Put it in the save for
Communicate with-
later.
yes,
Communicate with people that might have access to it.
right.
Other ways to limit purchases include establishing a daily spending limit, teaming up with an accountability partner, not purchasing anything after a certain hour at night, say after 9 p.m. You can also put price alerts on for recurring items. And a really good idea is to shop your pantry and closet first. A program Randy and I use is called Keyring. It's a free app on our phones that we share. When we notice something we need for the kitchen, we type it in, and that item is on both of our lists. And you can have multiple categories like groceries, books, movies, etc. You can name the categories anything you want, and when you add an item on a shopping list, you can both see it, and it's really helpful. And then you can talk about it later and say, do you still really want this? No, and then you just click and delete it.
Yeah, and it's great for doing your shopping list, but it also has a place in there where you can put it and you take a picture of the little tags you used to carry on your keychain, like for the gym or whatever, and they're all in keychain, so you don't have to have all that stuff hanging off your keyring.
Yep. All righty. How to save money. 6 strategies to build better financial habits. Whether you're building an emergency fund, paying down debt, or working toward a financial goal, these expert-backed strategies can help you save more effectively. We learned from the very first time we put our earnings into a piggy bank that saving money is important. Whether you're just starting your career or in retirement, saving money helps protect your finances and allows you to take care of both needs and wants in both short-term and long-term time frames. However, it can be a hard habit to build, no matter your income. We are going to discuss some ways to save money and develop healthy financial habits that last.
Yep, but first, let's discuss why saving money actually matters. You may think that this is intuitive, but there are those who refuse to save because of FOMO and YOLO, which we discussed 2 weeks ago. Fundamentally, FOMO is fear of missing out. YOLO is you only live once. Fundamentally, saving money sets your future self up for success and creates a safety net for unexpected events. With intentional saving, you can make a large purchase, fund a child's education, travel the world, and prepare for retirement. Most importantly, it helps you avoid debt and provides peace of mind, allowing you to make proactive and thoughtful financial decisions. Sherry often says that money equates to freedom and flexibility, but you must have the desire, will, and vision to see the long-term effect of what you're doing now. The first thing you need is a savings goal. You need to have a specific target in mind. Just saying, I want to save more money won't work for a couple of reasons. The first is that statement allows you to put off when you actually start saving and how much.
Yeah. The second reason is that, The second reason is that creating a specific goal like having $1 million or saving $1 million provides purpose, and it makes it easier to stay motivated. Be sure to include this in your goal in your budget, which leads to the next item.
Yep. And the next item is create a budget that supports your savings goals. A budget is just a clear spending plan. That's all it is. It's deciding in advance where money is going instead of wondering where it went after the fact. Like they say, failure to plan is planning to fail. Of course, this plan should include your fixed expenses like debt payments, mortgage, and utility bills, as well as variable expenses like groceries, pet expenses, and personal care. It should also include your savings. That way you're ensuring that you're paying yourself first.
Savings should carry the same weight in your budget as all your other bills. Treat it as something you need to pay. You don't question whether you need to pay the electric bill or the car payment when we plan for it. Saving money needs to have the same level of attention. Failing to treat it as a must-pay bill will delay reaching your financial goals. The next thing you want to do is make your money work for you. You can do this by using a high-yield savings account to grow your money. The traditional savings and checking accounts offer very low interest rates. As a matter of fact, according to June's FDIC report, the traditional savings account on average is 0.38%, and the average checking account interest rate is a mere 0.07%.
Yes, these accounts serve a purpose, but you might want to consider taking excess savings and putting them in an account designed to provide higher yields. The nice thing about the high-yield accounts is that they are FDIC insured. They also have the added benefit of being separated from your other accounts and hopefully not easily spent. The account you choose will depend on whether you have short or long-term goals and whether you'll need access to the money right away. The following options are offered by most online banks, credit unions, and other financial institutions. As of June 2026, the best high-yield savings accounts have annual percentage yield as high as 5%, more than 10 times the average rate of traditional savings accounts. Many high-yield savings accounts don't allow ATM withdrawals and don't come with a debit card, making it harder to spend the money. However, you can transfer money in and out of that account at any time, so it isn't as locked up as it would be by a CD.
Right. And since we mentioned CDs, let's discuss them. A CD, or a certificate of deposit, holds your money in an account for a fixed period of time. Because of the higher interest rate on a CD, you are required to keep the money in the account until the term of the CD expires. During this time, you can't withdraw the funds without paying a penalty. Right now, in exchange for keeping your money on deposit, you can often earn better than 4%. You might be able to find a higher rate if you're comfortable with a 100% online bank. And then there are some money market accounts. These are like a checking account, but they typically have higher yields. It is a deposit account that allows you to withdraw money when needed and often comes with checks or a debit card, something that many high-yield savings accounts don't have. This is a good option for an emergency fund, too. With the top 1% earning an average of 3.6%, money market accounts don't have the competitive rates as other options, but might provide more access to your money than a high-yield savings account or a CD, which could make them a good option for short-term savings.
The next tip on improving your savings is to reduce unnecessary expenses. While this may seem intuitive, you would be surprised to know how many times we've met with people in very bad debt situations that refuse to get rid of a $200+ cable bill or won't stop eating out all the time in order to save money instead. Reducing what you spend in certain categories allows you to increase what you put toward your savings. For example, if you reduce your entertainment or clothing budget by $50 a month and put that money away in a savings account set for a specific purpose, that's $600 a year. That may not sound like a lot of savings, but it is a start. The following year, that $600 has grown due to interest and compounding, and the next year you add more and the balance continues to increase.
We would encourage you to incorporate your friends and family in a savings challenge. In lieu of a no-spend day like you see on social media, you could engage in deliberate savings, which creates a habit. The point here is that you don't need to go it alone in financial affairs. Having others on the same path, working toward financial goals and security, is a good group to be part of. Next on our list is to automate your savings. Simply work with your bank or credit union if you don't exactly know how to accomplish this. What automation does for you is take the management of savings out of the biweekly or monthly transfer that you would need to do on your own. It allows you to see what money is in your bill pay account after the transfer to savings has been executed. This is a set and forget task. Plus, you won't feel as tempted to use any of the funds for things other than saving toward your goals.
And since we're talking about automation, I would encourage you to check your bank, credit card statements, and mobile devices for subscriptions that are not being used or no longer wanted. And be aware of any reminders that come to you from an annual subscription. If you don't need to use your subscriptions, cancel them. And of course, you should build an emergency fund. This is a fund this fund is your lifeline in the event of an emergency. Always resist digging into this account once you have set it up and are fully funded. Too many people do not have an emergency account, and when an emergency occurs, they are forced to use credit cards or even take out another store account just to pay bills for whatever the emergency was for.
An emergency fund is your backstop for expensive car repairs or anything that would divert you from the long-term goal of saving for retirement, to include losing a job. The emergency account is a way for you to stop worrying about the what-ifs that we all know will happen. Most experts, including us here at Lifespan, recommend that you save 3 to 6 months of expenses in your fund. If that seems impossible, start with 1 month, $1,000, or the amount of your insurance deductible, or the price for a new set of tires. Once you reach that goal, ratchet up the amount until you reach the target.
Yep, and there are some common mistakes that people make that makes saving money harder. Even if you followed all the right money-saving strategies, you could still come up short of your goal by making these common mistakes. The first is overcomplicating your finances. Use the KISS principle. Keep it simple, silly. Overcomplicating the process causes frustration and leads to not wanting to continue. We recommend starting small and tackling one task at a time until you are comfortable, then adding another piece to the puzzle. And then there is lifestyle inflation. Everyone is guilty of this, though. Basically, this happens when your spending increases with your income. Instead of changing your lifestyle, maintain the same budget and put your extra funds towards savings.
This next item will really destroy your budget, and that is emotional spending. If you rely on making spontaneous purchases to improve your mood, then you need to devise a way to resist these urges. Whatever you can use to make you pause, consider, and then understand why you want to buy a certain item. Then hopefully you put it back on the shelf or close the online store. As previously mentioned, consider deleting all your credit card information from sites you frequently purchase from. This will give you the space needed for reflection.
You know, I've heard people justify a purchase because they've just had a bad day at work. And most of us don't like people telling us what to do. So don't let work or interpersonal conflict influence how you spend your money. A good friend once told me that each of us has the ability to choose how we respond to a situation. So don't let someone else in your brain and ultimately let them determine how you spend your hard-earned money.
That's really good advice. And the last thing on this subject is to avoid high interest debt. High interest debt makes it so much harder to build wealth because so much of your money is going toward interest. This is a black hole for money and getting out of debt. If you are in debt, we encourage you to create a plan to pay it down. Balancing debt with your goals is not an easy task, but like we've said before, once you get off the merry-go-round of debt, you will never want to go back. Look up the debt snowball or debt avalanche method. Both are excellent templates on how you can proactively tackle your debt problem. Next up, tips for a financially savvy fall and upcoming holiday season, which is right around the corner, and I can't believe it. The holiday season can be one of the most expensive times of year for many American households. A report by the National Retail Federation shows that 8 in 10 Americans feel significant price pressures around these holidays, especially Christmas. Cumulative numbers show Americans will likely spend over $300 billion with a B on Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas this year, with Christmas accounting for more than 90% of the estimate. If you're trying not to wreck your budget during the upcoming holiday, there is no better time than now to start considering ways to save money or at least be prepared to spend some money without running up your credit cards. A smart move would be to create a holiday fund now. We mentioned this a few minutes ago. A sinking fund is a fund that you stash away money in so you can make a future purchase.
Yeah, when I was growing up, my church always had a building sinking fund. When the dollar saved reached a certain level, the church would authorize the money to be spent on specific projects. The same principles can be applied to your own money.
Another important thing is to set a firm gift budget. Then you'll be able to identify what you really want to spend on each person. You might be in a large family, and in my opinion, you may not be expected to buy gifts for everyone.
Yep, and I know for us, we got tired of all the buying and exchanging of gifts. For us, it was really it didn't enhance the experience. Instead, we drew numbers and played Dirty Santa and focused on socializing and doing things together, like playing Pictionary.
Pictionary is a fun one. One thing that a lot of people do is to shop early and spread the purchases over several months. This offers several benefits. The biggest one is reducing the stress of last-minute purchases. This also has the added benefit of reducing the cash flow crunch during the holiday season, because a purchase made in September hurts far less than 10 purchases made in 1 week in December.
Another benefit of shopping early is that it provides more time for comparison and bargain shopping and stops panic buying the final days before Christmas. You could also use this one-day rule we discussed at the beginning of the show. Wait 24 hours and then ask yourself if you would still buy that item tomorrow. Simple little habits like this can eliminate many impulse purchases. This is an easy win for you and your budget.
Yep. A lot of holiday waste comes from buying new decorations every year. Last year, when Sherry and I went to Michael's at Christmas, we met a couple that bought all new decorations every year.
They had a different theme, a different
Yes.
color theme. So they had to buy everything in a different color. Like, it was massive.
And I think they had like 3 or 4 trees. I can't remember.
Yes,
It was a lot.
and they all were decorated in a different color every year.
And they were just laughing about how much money they spend on decorations, Anyway, last year, I told you that. The goal is to create a different theme each year. The smart money is on reusing decorations, maybe adding a few new things to keep things fresh, but limit the purchase to a few things and stretch your budget a little bit.
Yeah, I doubt anyone will notice or care that you are reusing the same things that you. I mean,
was
it's
a year ago.
Christmas.
Yeah, right.
Wouldn't that be funny if they did notice?
Yeah.
If they were just driving by and they're
Wow.
like, hey, that's the same lights they hung up last
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
They didn't get new lights. That's ridiculous.
It's not like you're putting up Thanksgiving decorations and putting a Santa hat on them, and you're
Right.
like, "Oh, this is Christmas decoration."
Right.
It's
Well, yeah, just
Christmas
change.
decorations are
Right.
Christmas
I
decorations.
tried to get Randy to let us leave our tree up all year because it's so big.
Hassle.
That's just
It's
because
a
you were
lot of
lazy.
work.
You don't want to take it down.
No, I didn't want to take it down, and now we got to put it back up again. So I'll work on. I'll pressure you again this year.
Okay, good luck with that. One thing I learned from my mother and grandmother was to plan Thanksgiving and Christmas meals early. And my mom will start preparing meals in August. She would prepare dishes and put them in the freezer and then thaw them out when needed. They were still great, and I would not know the difference if I did not know she was freezing the dishes.
One issue that a lot of families have is the need to travel to see family during the holiday season. I know people like to visit with others during the holiday season, but if your budget is already strained, consider visiting via Skype or FaceTime. I have an excellent visit with a relative, or I've had excellent visits with relatives via FaceTime.
Yep. Travel can really hurt the holiday budget. For us, on Christmas, we would play Pictionary, like I said.
Which was really fun.
Yeah, and we would divide up in some manner and pit one team against the other. And our daughter, who lives in Colorado, wanted to join one year, and we put her on Skype, and she was even able to play right along with us.
That's pretty cool. I encourage you to use cash or debit to purchase these gifts, not a credit card. This is so you won't have the January regret. In reality, if you can't comfortably pay for an item before the holiday, it's probably not worth carrying it into the new year. You can stop the cycle of debt if you can commit making changes to how you spend your money. So give yourself a gift this year, and that is the gift of financial freedom.
I love that. So let's bring a little news on scams happening right now. And as a reminder of why we provide tips on scams is because too many people still fall prey to scams, and often these scams end up costing these people lots of hard-earned money. The first scam is called smishing impersonations. This is basically a text message that's blasted out to millions of people using automated text designed to spark immediate panic or curiosity. The hottest ones now are 1, toll road collection. The texts come and say that you claim that you missed a highway toll payment, complete with a high urgency link to pay a small fine. Last time we went to Atlanta, we got a bunch of these on our cell phones.
Yep.
Package delivery failures, messages mimicking USPS, FedEx, or Amazon stating a package cannot be delivered until you click a link to change the address details, and bank alert fraud, text warning of suspicious activity on your account, asking you to click a link or reply, which leads to credential theft.
Yep, I get these all the time. The toll road and the package shipping charge scams. I take the time to look at them to better understand how much better these scams are becoming. A year ago, text messages would use incorrect punctuations and words that are not commonly used in everyday American speech or writing. For example, it would say, urgency, your shipment is delayed due to errors in shipping address. Kindly click the link to provide current address. It just didn't flow like it would after, in normal.
It was more obvious.
It was obvious. Since AI came on the scene, these messages are a lot better.
The next major item is the ever-increasing AI-powered deep fake voice and whaling scams. Here, the scammers use snippets of audio from social media to clone voices using generative AI. So be very careful about what you put on your social media accounts. It could be used against you. The top 2 impersonating scams are the grandparent emergency scams, where you receive a panicked call from a family member claiming that they are in jail or hospitalized and need immediate cash wire transfers. And usually they call in the middle of the night when you're not thinking clearly. The other impersonating scam is the whaling and executive impersonation scam, sophisticated, tailored emails targeting specific professions or business executives, spoofing their CEOs or corporate lawyers to authorize rapid wire transfers.
Yeah, the next major area is the high loss investment in crypto fraud category. This category accounts for the highest total dollar amounts lost by consumers. In this category, you have pig butchering, friendship scams. Here, scammers target victims on dating apps, WhatsApp, or through the wrong number texts, and I've gotten a lot of those.
Yep.
Building trust over weeks. Eventually, they convince the victim to invest in a fraudulent crypto platform that fakes massive returns but locks up their funds when they try to withdraw them. I receive texts from numbers I don't know that say things like, we haven't spoken in a while, let's catch up, or I'm cleaning up my contacts, is this still the best number to reach you? I get them a lot.
Yep.
And you need to delete these every single time you get them.
Yep. The next category is the employment and job placement scams. Following the widespread shift in the labor market, fake remote jobs are surging. In scams, the victors are hired quickly via text and chat apps and then sent counterfeit checks to buy some home office equipment. They are told to send the leftover balance back via digital payment apps. The original check bounces days later, leaving the victim liable for the lost funds.
Yeah, and the tactic is always the same. You are inundated with high urgency messages or calls on the part of the scammer, often accompanied by harassment, threatening arrest, the closing of an account, or immediate price hikes. Hang up or close the app. Never act under immediate panic and give yourself some space. You should look for odd payment requests such as demands of cryptocurrency, gift cards, Zelle, or even wire transfers. All these are common forms of payments to scammers and a really good indicator that you are dealing with a scammer.
That's right. Legitimate companies and government agencies never accept gift cards or crypto. and never follow unsolicited links directing you to tap a URL to verify credentials. Don't do it. Go directly to the official app or type the verified URL yourself.
Yep. And here's the thing about scams. It does not matter what your educational background is or how savvy you think you are. The criminals today treat scamming like a big business, and it is to them. Let me tell you a story straight from the FBI records that will prove this point. The FBI recently described a case involving a woman in her 70s, a distinguished criminology professor who studied victimization professionally. Despite her expertise, scammers manipulated her into sending $500,000 through cash, wire, and gift cards. She even withdrew equity from her paid-off home. And when the FBI agent finally convinced her she was being scammed, she was devastated. The case illustrates that fraud can happen to an educated, experienced person, not just the uninformed. Anyway, we're glad that you took the time to be with us today, and we look forward to being with you next week.
Thanks for listening to Your Money, produced by Lifespan Wealth Management. As financial advisors, the main thing they do is provide retirement planning and advice and manage their clients' investment accounts. If you're looking for a financial advisor, please contact their office at 478-922-8100 to set up your complimentary consultation. You can learn more about them by visiting their website, retirerelax.com. And if you have a question or a topic that you would like them to cover in next week's broadcast, you can email Randy at rfmoney.com. They look forward to connecting with you next week. Have a great weekend, everyone. Securities and investment advisory services offered through Osaic Wealth Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC. Osaic Wealth is separately owned, and other entities and or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are independent of Osaic Wealth.